Welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm joined by Zara. Zara, how are you?
I'm good, Jordan. How are you?
Good. What's been going on?
A few things, actually. We have just hired a new team member for Inflection, which is really exciting. So
Cool.
we've hired a Google specialist, or Google Ads specialist, and she started last week. She's amazing, really phenomenal. She comes with a whole bunch of experience from lots of different industries, primarily in like the service-based industry, which is great because that's primarily most of our clients. But she also has operational experience, which
cool.
is fantastic for me because I'm not super organized.
Yeah. What is operational experience? What does that mean in your industry?
Yeah, so she's been working across a few different areas, but she had a team of people. I think there was maybe like 200 to 250 clients under her kind of portfolio. And then obviously she had a team of people underneath her as well that she was responsible for. And so it was just kind of coming up with processes, coming up with workflows.
Sick.
Yes.
That's what you want.
All the good stuff.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
And experience-wise?
So she's got, I think, 7 years experience in Google Ads.
Oh, cool.
Which is a really long time, which is great.
Wow, that's awesome. You'll be able to hand over the reins to setting up processes and
Absolutely.
even managing team. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a
yeah.
big,
So
that's
she's
a big
got
win.
a huge kind of wealth of experience, which is fantastic. And she's also just a really sick person.
Yeah, can confirm that.
Yeah. What about you? What's been going on in Grayspace?
Quite a bit, to be honest. We did a rebrand, which we've recently spoken about, and we've onboarded quite a few new staff members, which has been interesting, been challenging.
Mm-hmm.
We brought on 4 people I think it was 4 or 5 people in the space of like 2 weeks. So that's had its own challenges with just everything, to be honest, workflow wise and systems and trying to just keep up with demand. So a good problem, but nonetheless still a problem and something that we are trying to work on at the moment. We're finding that Dan and I are still, like, we've never been doing so much like accounting work, to be honest.
Wow.
Just to try and keep up with it all.
Mm-hmm.
I was speaking to you last week about coming down to Melbourne. I was like, I'm actually quite excited to just be able to step away for a day or two. But at the same time, it's like you're away for a day or two. So
yeah,
double-edged sword. But yeah, that's pretty much what's been going on.
Mm. Have you found that some of like the systems or the processes that you had in place, obviously up until now, are just irrelevant now that you've got more people on board and more clients?
Yeah, for sure. We have found that the systems that worked at me and Dan didn't work when there was 5 of us, 10 of us, and now that there's, I don't know, off the top of my head, I think there's like 17. It's the systems that worked at the start don't work now. So we're trying to refine them as best as possible, but it's just a fine balancing act because we've got so much work on at the moment and so many things to do that it's finding the time to do that.
Yep.
I think that we should be able to get on top of the current workload around May. So once we do that, then we'll be good to go. And then we can again scale again because we've always focused on systems and focused on Dan and I working on the business. But now we're really in there doing the actual work, which look, we always have. Yeah. But it's more than ever now. So it's an interesting learning curve. And we thought that if we just bring people in and bring in more staff, that would fix everything. But that has its own issues, right? Because you need to be able to manage the team members and manage the workflow that we use. Think of like a Monday for accountants. That's what we use, something similar. Not Monday, but an accounting version. And yeah, it's just managing that and keeping up with deadlines, like all the normal stuff, I guess, just ramped up quickly.
What do you find, you said some of the systems and processes sort of when it was just you and Dan were irrelevant once you became 5 and then 5 became 10. And what's kind of the gap or like what's the biggest thing that's not working or that you find that needs to be constantly changed or tweaked?
The big thing, something that we're working on this week is once we do a BAS, right, we'll do all the transactions and we'll reach out to the client saying, hey, we don't know what these 3 transactions are on whatever date for X amount of dollars. We're finding that at scale, you just waiting to receive that email back with clarification doesn't work, because if we send out 500 of those emails every quarter, well, we need to be able to track it okay, have we sent follow-ups? So we're trying to automate that at the moment, where it's just an automated email that goes out every 2 or 3 days to prompt the client to send their information back to us. Whereas at the start, I would send the email. One of the staff members would just send it, and then it's easy to manage if there's 20 clients.
Yeah.
So that's something that we're working on at the moment to try and get the ball back in our court for the work, because once it goes out to the client, we have no control over timeframes and whatnot. We're just trying to get on the front foot with that, so that way we can get it back in our court and we can get the work out on time and promptly.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense. Interesting. I mean, it's interesting that, it's obviously we talk about like systems and processes needing to be tweaked and reviewed all the time, but that's like a live example of maybe how frequently they need to be tweaked and reviewed.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting. It just happened quickly, where it's like, okay, well, the systems that we had don't work now. We need to rethink this and go again. Looking at our goals and reflecting over the last couple of years, it's like, because you just get so caught up in the moment and you're like, oh, it's chaos and whatever. But you look back and it's like, oh, this is where we want it to be. This is more than where we wanted to be a year or two ago. So I think reflection's important too. And I know we were talking about processes, but I think the reason I bring up the past, it's like when we did our planning days, you would see the processes that need to be worked on. And now it's like, cool, it's very similar. It's very similar. It's just at scale. So yeah, bit of a tangent, but
it's interesting. Obviously, like scaling, there's so many benefits to scaling, obviously, but then there's also some of those challenges that you've just mentioned. And a lot of people I know, like you were saying in an episode that we did recently, hiring's really challenging in the accounting space, or just like it is for a lot of industries that I'm talking to at the moment. Would you say like the hiring and the people component of scaling is one of the bigger challenges?
I do. If you've got on top of the lead flow, I think that's number one, to make sure that the revenue is being generated or the potential leads are coming through. And then number two is definitely people. And I've spoken to Owen about it as well, and he says the same thing. It's people is probably the hardest thing with scaling, in my opinion and in my experience, because you need to bring on people, new personalities, new characters. It's challenging. The thing that we do to stay on top of it is we have our workflow meetings more regularly than we used to. So that way we can stay on top of the workload. That's something that's really important. And planning. I found that planning is really important, and you can't just be reactive to your inbox. It's something that Owen mentioned to me and sort of springed a thought process where, well, Owen spoke to Dan and Dan told me about it. So then I spoke to Owen, bit of inception. And this really does relate to scale, because our inbox now is, you get 100 emails a day. But what I found is that it's the 80-20 principle. There's only probably not even 20, maybe 5 or 10 that actually require my response. And an example of one that doesn't require my response would be like, hey, can you send me my tax file number or my tax return, or are you free next week? What we're working on at the moment, it does relate to scale. I'll bring it around. What we're working on at the moment is having like a guide on how to manage an inbox. So that way we can get one of our admin staff to manage our inbox and reply on our behalf. So if we can get back an hour or 2 or 3 hours a day of not responding to emails that we don't need to respond to, then that would save us so much more time to work on the scaling things, to work on that people management side of things, to work on the workflow. What are some more processes that we can tweak to improve efficiencies in the business? So I find that in our experience, and speaking with other business owners too, that a lot of time does get caught up in the inbox. Even not at professional services or marketing or whatever you do, you're always emailing people. If you're a plumber, I was speaking to a friend who runs a plumbing business, and it's the same thing. It's cool. You work from 7 till 3 or whatever time you're doing, and you get home and you have all these emails, work orders, requests, all of this stuff. If you can try and write out a guide or have a system on how to manage that inbox, it can save you so much time.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Is scaling worth it?
I'll let you know. It's good. It's challenging, but I really enjoy the challenge. But it's to be determined.
It's just an interesting concept, or like an interesting question. Is obviously people go scaling good. Scaling equals good, equals more money, equals this, equals bigger business. But I will. Let's touch base in 6 months.
Yeah, hopefully have some hair left.
Question.
It's good. It's challenging. It's challenging. But I think as a business owner, all of us want to be able to do that and grow our business just doesn't need to be called scaling. It's just growing your business and being able to keep up with demand. We all want to do it. That's why we've gone into business. So it's definitely challenging, and probably one of the most challenging things that we've had to do, to be honest.
Yeah. And then you also said you guys have just done a rebrand.
Yes.
Recently, which we have done an episode on.
Yes.
But to touch on it briefly in this episode.
Yes.
How has it gone? How has that rebranding process been, and do you love the result?
Yes, love the result. The process has been fantastic.
Yep.
Our hand has been held all the way through, which has been really good from start to finish. I'll just recap how the process. Soph did all of our rebranding, who did all the Rask rebranding too. And the way we started off, it was like a fact finder where we would send through some inspo, some colors we liked, our values and whatnot. Then from there, had different concepts. And then from those concepts, then there was another deep dive into concepts. And then from there, started to build out the branding and whatnot. So there was just so much in it that I didn't know. To be honest, I would not recommend doing it yourself if you don't have any background in it. We spoke about it briefly, like the psychology of color and how things work. And even you were walking through things in that episode that we did previously. And I was like, oh yeah, I haven't actually thought of that, like the colors and the pictures and whatnot. So it's been an awesome process. Very happy with the result. If you did want to check it out, it's gsadvisory.com.au. Have a scroll around. We do need to get new photos because those photos are quite old. But yeah, it's been great. Yeah.
I mean, the website's phenomenal. The branding is amazing, and I love it.
Yeah,
I think
me
Soph's
too.
done a really amazing job. How long did it take from that very first kind of, I guess, like questionnaire fact finding through to obviously the website? Did you guys go live with it last week or this week?
I think it was last Thursday.
Last Thursday.
I think the process started maybe back end of last year.
Yep, like December or
November
maybe
maybe December.
So it's a solid like 3 months.
Yeah,
factoring in Christmas leave and
of course
those kinds of things.
And because it's not just the branding of the website. Then Soph currently still is building out all these social. What's the right word to use?
Yeah, like all your social templates.
Social templates and all of that stuff.
Essentially your style guides, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And
then, we need to organize a photo shoot to update the photos, have all the team get their photos taken. So it's a process. But again, hands been held through the whole time.
Yeah.
It's made a big difference. Soph has been fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, we've had it. Obviously, Soph works with us too and a few of our clients, and the process has been the same.
Yeah.
She's just great. She knows what she's doing.
Yeah. She's an expert in what she does.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously throughout this rebrand process, but obviously you've brought new people on board. Like, there's been a lot of changes in Grey Space in the last, there's always changes. I feel like every time I see you, there's something new happening. But there's been a lot of movement recently. What's something new that you've learned, whether it be about business, people, yourself, what's something new that you've come across?
I wouldn't say it's new, but with challenges comes additional stress, and just being able to manage that and not getting caught up in it. I know that sometimes it's all I would think about, and I wouldn't do anything else, just like thinking about work and, got to do this, got to do that, where sometimes health can take a backseat. So I think it's really important I say that after going for a walk this morning, the first time this week. So prioritize health and just not get caught up in it and enjoy the journey. Because Dan and I will be chatting and it's like, oh, there's chaos and, it's craziness but it's good. It's what we wanted to be doing. These are just the challenges that arise when you're at that level. So yeah, that's what it's just to reflect, prioritize your health, and everything will be okay.
How long's Grey Space been around for? When did you guys start it? 2022,
January.
Okay. Yep.
What's that? Almost
3 years.
22, 23, 24. This is year 4.
This is year 4.
Yep.
Congrats.
Thank you.
That's huge.
Thank you. We're still here.
Yeah.
You should
and
see.
You're crushing it.
Yeah, trying
17 people.
Yeah,
from just you and Dan to 17 people. That's massive.
Yeah, it's going all right.
Well done.
Could be better.
Could
always be better.
Everything can be better, but do you find sometimes, is it ever hard to sit down and reflect on the growth that you've had? Like you were just saying before, how it's important to reflect and be like, oh, this is actually what we had written down on our goal list 6 months ago, 12 months ago.
Yeah.
Do you find it sometimes hard to accept or like acknowledge those wins, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Because you know, if you tick the goal or you're successful in what you wanted to do for that 3-month quarter, it's like, okay, cool, next.
Yeah.
The bar just gets pushed up again. I think it is important to do that. And it's funny because like I'll say it to my clients. I was chatting with a client on the weekend about it and they were reflecting and it's like, yeah, like, you know, you want to bring on X amount of more people. But we were sitting here a year ago and the conversations were so different. So it's really important to reflect. I mean, I don't do it sometimes, which is probably not a good thing, but I think that's just only natural. It's just you push the bar higher and higher as you go on.
What do you think's been the biggest kind of catalyst or like, not catalyst, like why do you think you guys have grown to where you have?
I think the reason that we've gotten to where we've gotten to is because we make quick decisions.
Okay.
And we're not afraid to be wrong. And we always leave our ego at the door when we're making decisions. I get things wrong. And when I say get things wrong, what do I mean by that? So an example of get things wrong were bringing in an automation person that didn't work. Okay. And we spent quite a bit of money. I think it was like $8,000 or $9,000 and just not much came of it. But it's like, okay, it was wrong. That was the wrong decision. What are the learnings from this? And then let's move on and make the right decision moving forward. Same thing with how we're sitting here and how we're hosting the podcast. It's like, okay, cool. It started off as we did like this program talking about like out of the whole program, the one thing that I got from it was to get in front of as many people as possible and options of doing that, social media, YouTube, podcasting, whatever it was. Like, oh, okay, cool. From there, it was like top 10 business podcasts in Australia. And then boom, Owen, he only launched a podcast for like a month or two. I reached out to Owen on like a Sunday. And then not the following week, I think it was the week after maybe, like we started recording. It's just like being comfortable to get out of your comfort zone. And I remember the first time, it was like your first time. You're nervous, you've rehearsed, you're sweating. It's difficult, but you need to be comfortable in those uncomfortable positions. Because if you fail, so be it. It's a learning. And we've always been okay with that, of falling on our faces. So, yeah, I think, I don't know if that answers your question. But
no, it does. Was it something that you and Dan like actively spoke about at the beginning, or you were just like, it's just innately part of who you guys are?
Yeah, it is. It's like risks, but very calculated too, and making sure that, you know, obviously we can afford it and whatnot. But I think it's just in our nature, to be honest.
Checks out, accountants.
Yeah. Like there's always a, Excel spreadsheet around it, the decision. But it's making them fast. I think that's one of the biggest things. It's just making those decisions fast. And that's what's helped us grow and get to the point where we're at and not dwelling on the mistakes and going, oh, it's wrong, complain and whinge. It's like, cool, wrong, didn't work, let's move on.
And maybe the make decisions fast, it's like, because it's part of who you guys are, you put that checklist or the spreadsheet together and it helps you be like, yep, cool, let's do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, cool, you had an idea yesterday. Let's check out if it's actually a viable idea, financially or XYZ, whatever the kind of criteria are that you look at and you go, yep, cool, checks all the boxes, let's do it.
Yeah, I learned that from Alex Hormozy. He always talks about that, making fast decisions. And obviously strategic decisions too, but the faster you can make decisions, the quicker that you can grow a business or fall on your face.
Yeah.
But for us, it's worked. Again, calculated. And I'm not saying to just go out and not blow all your money, but spend all your money on certain things in your business. You want to make calculated decisions. And I think that's been one of the biggest things for us. It's like we haven't been scared to put ourselves in uncomfortable positions or spend money in the business on things that we're not sure if they're going to work because it's a learning and it's gotten us to this position.
Yeah. 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 That makes a lot of sense. I think the fail fast is a big one.
Yeah. It's so true. And I think you just need to leave your ego at the door. Ego is the enemy. Ryan Holiday. Read it.
It's a very good book.
Yeah.
One of the last organizations that I worked at, part of my role was to help kind of build and define the leadership team and like scale up the leadership team. So people that might have been in a senior position that wanted to move into a management position. And Ego's Enemy is one of the books I made every single person read. And if they didn't read it, they didn't progress.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it's so important.
Yep.
Leave your ego at the door.
Yep.
The world doesn't revolve around you. Yep. If you can put that aside and you're comfortable being wrong, you'll make progress. And I think that's in life as well as just business.
Yeah.
You know, if you fail, people aren't looking at you. You're not that important.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah. I think, you know, I just said, if you didn't read, you didn't progress. There was a whole, it was like a 3 to 6 month.
That's cutthroat.
Yeah, it was like a 3 to 6 month training program that you had to go through to get into into the management team. But that there was a bunch of books.
It is because
list.
Some of our harshest thoughts or what we think are our biggest problems are caused by what we think other people think, and it's just not true.
Yeah,
people don't care.
Yeah,
no one cares.
Yeah,
just get on with it.
And everyone else also has all those thoughts. Yeah. They're so caught up in their own head that they're not actually looking at you that often.
Yeah, our problems, they come from us.
Yep.
It's as simple as that.
Great book.
It
Ryan
is.
Holiday in general has a lot of great principles.
Yeah, Ryan Holiday is really good. And I think we've spoken about it before, Robert Greene.
Yes.
So Ryan Holiday learnt from Robert Greene, or did the writers do apprenticeships?
Sure.
I don't know, but he learnt under Robert Greene, and he's got some awesome books. 33 laws of war or strategy. There's five. The laws of human nature, which is 500 million pages long, but very interesting. Then there's mastery, talks about war, power, and there's a book about seduction too, the art of seduction. So give them a read. Give all of them a read. If you've got
we just need a link to Robert Greene in the show notes. Yeah, then you can just go through his books.
I found there's a package on Amazon. You can buy them all.
Oh, there you go.
5-book collection set.
Or you have a Kindle.
Yeah, I never got on board with that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just like having the physical book.
I was like that for so long, and then I got given a Kindle for a birthday gift or something and converted. I take it everywhere with me. Comes like staying in Melbourne for a couple of nights. It's here. Yep. I read every night before I go to bed for at least half an hour, Monday to Sunday, like literally every night. And yeah, it's just a way, because I change what I'm reading quite a bit. So I might read like a fiction book, I might read like a biography, I might read a business book. And I just I was reading something the other day and there was a novel and it started getting into a zone that I was like, oh, I can't read this at night. It seems like it's going to give me bad dreams. And so I was like, all right, hit pause and started reading like an Anthony Bourdain, biography. Anyway.
Cool. Off topic. Yeah, reading's important.
I
think to tie back to what we were talking about, if you are trying to scale, you want to be able to get ideas off people that have already done it. And I think that's something that has helped us as well. I love to read, and reading business strategy books has really helped. Also having a really good group of like-minded business owners around me has also helped.
Yep.
But yeah, I think if you're a business owner and you want to scale and that's the plan, then you need to just put yourself out there, absorb as many podcasts as you can, read books, articles, people in your industry, in other industries. If you can get 1 or 2 things from a certain person, like that's all you need. It really is.
Yeah. And if you can't get into a physical networking group, whether it be Inflection, whether it be like a local council kind of, networking event that gets put on, podcasts.
Yeah, for sure.
Just so the way to go. Like there's so many amazing people out there that are sharing their knowledge of like how they got to, what their challenges were, the biggest mistakes they made, the biggest wins. And it's just like free access into that.
It's so true. There's so many. What's your favorite podcast actually? Besides ours?
Besides ours, obviously.
I'm going to pull my, so I'm listening to a few at the moment. I would say my top 3 favorite, I think the Hormozis are great. So Layla Hormozi, Alex Hormozi. There's 2 sides to it. Alex Hormozi is more like sales and marketing, generating revenue, whereas Layla, his wife, it's more about the team, culture, and how to sort of manage it. So it's like a ultimate power couple, like sales and marketing, team and HR, team, HR and operations. So they're both great. Another one that I listen to quite a bit, and it's referred to as the Podcaster's Podcast.
Oh, I'm going to have a quick look at it.
Called Founders, and all they do, or David talks about, is just other business owners, like biography type things. It's great. It's great. So I would strongly recommend listening to them. And yeah, I'd probably say Founders is probably the best one. Yeah.
Great.
And it's old older entrepreneurs too. So like the Rockefellers, Mr. Beast is a younger person, and big businesses as well. So super interesting.
Yeah, that's great. I'll add that to the list. I was just having to think. There's a few. I like How I Built This with Guy Raz.
Yeah.
He interviews, essentially entrepreneurs globally, and talks about like how they built their brands. There's another one, Simon Sinek, is called A Bit of Optimism.
Yep.
It's not necessarily focused on business, but it's more like personal development, leadership, teamwork. He does some really great interviews with like Brené Brown and Adam Grant. Adam Grant's an incredible author. Think Again is a really fantastic book. Was also on our leadership management training. Tim Ferriss also has some good interviews. Masters of Scale, Diary of a CEO. I kind of flick between them. And the other one is the Rich Roll podcast, which off air just kind of did a little bit of a bio of him and how he kind of got
very interesting story.
Very interesting story. Super interesting guy. So not all of them are businessy ones. They're just like really interesting conversations.
Yep.
I guess still like leadership or teamwork. Bit of variety in there.
To tie it back, it's so important because it's been done before. And even if it hasn't been done before in your industry and you're trying to get some motivation or learn something, you will. Like I said, if it's just a 10 or 15 second clip, if it's a 10, 15 second clip, this idea can just sprout and it snowballs into something huge. So I strongly suggest I suggest having an open mind when listening to podcasts too, and think, how can this work in my business, and what's something I can take for it. So like actively listening to it and not just having it on in the background is super important.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not a reader. If you don't want to read, cool, all good. Just listen. Listen on your walks or wherever you on the drive to work.
Absolutely. That's when I listen to most of mine, is like driving around.
Yeah, there you go. Do you ever drive to work in silence or drive home in silence?
Actually, sometimes if we've done a podcast day, I will, because it's like an hour and 40 minutes, hour and 45 minutes. I just kind of like sit there. Particularly coming out of the city, I just kind of like, I'm like, whoa, I need to decompress.
Yeah.
But then sometimes I'll listen to edits. Like if there's been an edit, I'll like listen to it on the way home to be like, do we need to change anything? Yeah,
fair.
But yeah, they're probably the trips usually but like the gym that we go to is a little bit far away from our house, so listen to a podcast on the way to the gym.
Yep.
Just driving.
Yeah, good stuff.
Do you often drive without podcasts in silence?
Yeah.
Cool.
Like a psychopath. It's like a thinking time.
Yeah, it's like a decompress, particularly after work, it's like a decompress.
Do you know what as well? What I find is like there's so much content and devil's advocate here, right?
Totally.
We're just talking about how it's great, but there's also so much content and there's emails and, TV, if you watch TV when you get home, and it's like you never just have nothing.
Yeah.
And I find that driving home sometimes it's just nothing and I love it.
Well, it's kind of, I guess, like throughout the day you get bombarded with things.
Yeah, it's true.
And you have to solve problems and you have to take in information.
Yeah, and it's just true. It's like thinking time, to be honest. It's just zen.
What about on the way to work?
I do listen to podcasts on the way to work. Yeah.
Get you in the zone. Get you in the biz zone.
I actually do listen to I love rugby league. Yeah. And now that the season's back, I listen to a few rugby league podcasts and just a bit of it's not white noise. I love it. I was going to say white noise, but it's not. I'm paying attention.
Big sports fan.
Massive. Yeah.
Every time I come to your office, there is sport on the TV.
Yeah. Background noise.
Well, very off tangent, but thank you, George, for today.
My pleasure.
Thanks for sharing what's been going on and the rebrand and those kinds of things.
Yeah. It's been good.
Good to chat.
Always. Thanks, Zara.
Speak to you soon. Bye.
Thanks for watching this video on the Rask Network. While you're here, don't forget to like and subscribe so you can get videos each and every day on business, finance, investing, and so much more.